This video is brought to you by JETRO, the Japan External Trade Organization. We would like to thank you for your time and for the opportunity to present to you this video. The Japan External Trade Organization is a government-related organization that was established in 1958 as the Government of Japan's official trade and investment promotion agency. JETRO works to promote global trade and investment between Japan and the rest of the world. An important mission of JETRO is to increase awareness of the importance of U.S.-Japan economic relations at the state and local levels, and to highlight the creation of American jobs and other economic benefits that result from Japanese companies' direct investment in the United States. While Japan is slightly smaller in area than the state of California, Japan's gross domestic product in 2019 was $5.1 trillion, exceeded only by China and the US at $14.3 and $21.4 trillion respectively. And of these three countries having the world's largest GDPs, only Japan and the United States share the value of democracy and principles of political, social, and economic freedom. In years before the pandemic, many prominent American leaders and influencers, including governors, mayors, state representatives, and local economic development professionals, traveled to Japan to build new and sustain existing relationships with Japanese companies. These consistent interactions over the years resulted in direct investment by Japanese companies in the U.S. that reached $644 billion in 2019. According to the U.S. Department of Commerce, with this increase in foreign direct investment of a towering 168% over 10 years, Japan has emerged as the #1 leading source of foreign investment in America. In comparison, Canada's direct investment in the U.S. was $580 billion, followed by Germany, which was $522 billion, and the United Kingdom, which was $446 billion. Japan's foreign direct investment is important because it plays an essential role in ensuring U.S. economic growth and prosperity, creating highly compensated jobs, spurring innovation, and driving exports. In addition, Japanese companies in the U.S. are known for the extensive healthcare benefits that they provide for their employees.
In Columbus, Indiana, we've had Japanese companies now for about 30 years. Today, with that 30-year perspective, we have 24 Japanese companies in Columbus, and they employ about 5,800 employees. The Japanese business methodology that I have observed is patient, it is thoughtful. NTN Drive Shaft is one of our larger employers. They employ about 1,600. They make drive shafts, constant velocity joints. And another that's about the same size is Toyota. And those people are familiar with Toyota as a car manufacturer, but our plant makes forklifts. They make about 45,000 forklifts a year here in Columbus. They've become employers of choice in our community because the employees or the workers understand that when they go there, they'll be treated fairly. They'll be given compensation that is comparable, if not a little better, than what they might find somewhere else. Their presence of these Japanese companies has been very helpful to us during the pandemic from a couple of perspectives. As I said earlier, they're very well managed and they're very patient. They're also very well capitalized. So if there's a business downturn, they're well positioned to withstand that. Number one, they will succeed, they will survive. Number two, as I said, they're thoughtful. And so they'll develop a response to the pandemic. What should an appropriate masking program look like? What's the appropriate, distancing in a factory setting? How do you maintain, a respect for the virus at the same time that you get your work done? And so that they develop that in their factory, and then they share that, with the rest of us here in the community. And it's really heartening to see that they teach their employees how they should behave in a group setting, wear the mask, stay appropriately distanced, and so forth. And then you see those people doing that very thing, at the local grocery store. They do that very thing with their kids at school. I mean, these kind of habits and behaviors, they carry over into other aspects of our life here in Columbus.
In 2017, just over 922,400 Americans were employed by U.S.-based operations of Japanese companies. Compared to other leading employers from Asia-Pacific countries, the number of jobs created by Japanese companies was 14 times higher than companies from South Korea and India, 11 times higher than Australia, and 6 times higher than China.
So since 2015, 39 Japanese companies have chosen to grow in the Columbus region, committing to add more than 1,600 jobs and over $300 million of direct investment to the economy. This impact is so important to the communities in which they're located. Not only are the companies contributing to the tax base of the cities, but they're also bettering Central Ohioans' lives through the fulfilling work that they offer.
Japan's direct investment in the United States is best characterized as industrial, predominantly in the automotive supply chain. Most of Japan's direct investment results in the construction of manufacturing plants and buildings from the ground up. Such foreign investment is referred to as a greenfield investment. Most greenfield investment projects are initiated in non-metropolitan areas. Greenfield investment always creates new jobs.
Faribault, Minnesota is a community of 25,000 people located south of the Minneapolis-St. Paul Twin City metro area. Daikin Applied is one of the largest industries here in the city of Faribault. And what's even more exciting and unique about this Japanese company is they actually have 2 manufacturing plants located here in this community. Just a few years ago, they went through an international search to find a location to build a new plant so that they could offer a brand new state-of-the-art product to the globe. And going through that search, they decided that the best location for them would be right here in Faribault. So they actually have 2 plants, and that new investment was a very large investment that has had a tremendous impact on the community.
Japan is the leading foreign investor in U.S. manufacturing. In 2017, U.S.-based manufacturing operations of Japanese companies employed 469,200 Americans, which is the highest level among all investor countries. The importance of Japanese companies in the U.S. manufacturing sector is increasing. Since 2010, the rate of manufacturing employment growth for U.S.-based Japanese manufacturers has increased by a substantial 62.1%. This is significantly greater than the 8% growth of total U.S. manufacturing employment during the same period. In 38 states, Japan ranks in the top 3 for the total of manufacturing employees among all investor countries. In 20 of the 38 states, including Washington, Arizona, Nebraska, Minnesota, Mississippi, Indiana, Ohio, and Georgia, Japan is the largest manufacturing employer among all investor countries.
We all understand that our industries struggle to have enough workers. This is a global issue. And what they're doing through the programs that they're developing and the partnerships that they're providing is they're elevating the skill set of all of our residents and providing those opportunities for people to improve their lives.
Between 2007 and 2017, U.S. exports grew by 34.7%. During that same period, exports of Japanese-owned companies in the U.S. grew by 54.4%, accounting for $80.6 billion of exports in 2017, a significant 5.2% of total U.S. exports, the highest among all foreign investors. Japanese companies accounted for approximately 22.1% of all foreign-owned company exports from the U.S. Research and development is required to drive innovation and to increase the productivity of the workforce. Japan has a higher number of patent applications per capita than the U.S. Japan also has some of the strongest intellectual property laws in the world, making it ideal for businesses with interest in R&D. R&D expenditures by the U.S.-based Japanese companies reached $9.4 billion in 2017, the highest among the 4 top foreign investors in the U.S. With respect to major investor countries, since 2009, Japan has made the largest increase in U.S. research and development expenditures in both the amount, $4.3 billion, and the percentage increase, a hefty 83.5%.
You know, in the beginning, when Japanese companies were looking to place operations in the U.S., they were mainly focused on manufacturing and warehousing. And those activities have really evolved over the years. And what we've seen is a significant amount more of R&D activity that's happening. In Central Ohio, specifically on the corridor that's between Dublin, Ohio, and where the Honda Marysville facilities are located, there's about 70 companies that are Japanese-owned that are doing R&D activities along that corridor. And they're hiring engineers from our university systems. They're training people on the technologies that they really want to push into the future. And we're really excited that a lot of that activity is taking place here.
In 1991, Japan accounted for slightly over 65% of the total U.S. merchandise trade deficit. By 2019, Japan's portion of the overall U.S. merchandise trade deficit declined to 8.1%, the largest shrinking portion of the total trade deficit among America's major trading partners. Much of this shift is a result of direct investment by Japanese companies in manufacturing operations in the U.S. to serve their U.S. markets and also to generate export revenue from the U.S.
My message to other communities, other mayors who might be interested in economic growth is that they really need to have Japan on their radar. You know, the city of Columbus has been going to Japan for 38 years. I mean, we skipped 2020 because of the pandemic. But other than that, we were over there every year, sometimes twice. Once people see you and understand how sincere you are in trying to attract Japanese investment to your community, I mean, they understand how far it is from a cornfield in Indiana to Tokyo or Nagoya, and so they appreciate the effort that we made, and they understand what that says about our willingness to be a good friend. I encourage anyone to pursue business opportunities in Japan because, as I said, it's been nothing but good for us here in Columbus. We've had industry that has helped us withstand the pandemic, that has helped guide us through the pandemic. We have industry here that just continues to grow and provide employment opportunities for people in our region.
In summary, as of 2019, Japan is the leading source of foreign investment in the U.S. Japanese companies are engines of job creation across America's manufacturing landscape and are major contributors to the growth of U.S. exports and R&D expenditures. These data provide a new holistic perspective of the U.S.-Japan economic relationship based on direct investment, which strengthens the foundation of our country's bilateral economic relationship. The economic value of Japanese investment in the United States is clear in terms of job and export growth and R&D innovation. There is a continuing opportunity for U.S. business leaders and government officials to partnership with Japanese companies of all sizes to seize upon this value. Please consider reaching out to Japanese companies in your region or consider a visit to their headquarters in Japan. To receive information about anything in this presentation, or if you are interested in continuing this topic of discussion, please contact a JETRO office in the United States. Again, thank you for your time and for the opportunity.